Can you recall the last time your heart went, "Oh, it was such a beautiful feeling to be in love"? It is identical to loving oneself, except that you will never abandon yourself. Once you acquire self-love, it remains with you for the rest of your life. Therefore, you want to make it the best relationship possible. When you forgive and let go, you not only relieve yourself of a tremendous burden, but you also open the door to your own self-love. For those of you who have been working on learning how to love yourselves, and for those of you who are just starting out, I will discuss several techniques to help you learn how to do so. It is known as my 10 steps, and I have emailed this list to thousands of people throughout the years. Self-love is an exciting quest, similar to learning to fly. How thrilling it would be if everyone possessed the ability to fly at will. Let's start loving ourselves immediately. On some level, many of us appear to suffer from a lack of self-esteem. We have a terrible time loving ourselves because we believe that our so-called flaws make it hard for us to appreciate ourselves just as we are. Usually, we condition our love for ourselves. Then, when we are in partnerships, we make loving the other person a priority, also conditional. Everyone has heard that we cannot truly love another person until we love ourselves. Now that we have identified the obstacles, we have erected them for ourselves. How do we propel ourselves to the next level? One of the most crucial keys is to quit judging yourself negatively. I've already discussed criticism if we tell ourselves we're fine. Regardless of the circumstances, it is simple to make changes in our lives. When we make ourselves awful, we encounter the most hardship. We all affect one another. Each day is a fresh start, and we conduct ourselves slightly differently than the day before. Our ability to adapt and flow with the natural course of life contributes to our strength. Those who grow up in dysfunctional homes are frequently overly responsible and have developed the habit of harshly evaluating themselves. They have grown up with tension and worry. As children of dysfunctional homes, they receive the message that something must be wrong with them. Consider for a moment the words you use when you scold yourself. People often use terms such as stupid, bad boy, terrible girl, thoughtless, stupid, ugly, worthless, sloppy, and dirty to describe me. Are these the same adjectives you currently use to describe yourself? If so, there is an urgent need to increase our self-worth and value, because when we feel inadequate, we find ways to maintain our misery. We cause disease and agony in our bodies. We delay doing things that would be beneficial. We abuse our bodies with food, booze, and substance. As humans, we are all insecure for various respects. Let us learn to stop pretending to be flawless. Attempting to obtain perfection just increases the burden on ourselves. Furthermore, it inhibits us from examining areas of our lives that require mending. Instead, we could find our creative distinctions or individualities and value ourselves for our distinguishing characteristics. Each of us has a unique purpose on this planet, and when we criticize ourselves, we also disguise it. We desire to quit frightening ourselves. Many of us terrorize ourselves with frightening thoughts and exaggerate the severity of situations. We magnify a tiny issue into a massive monster. It is an awful way to live. How many of you go to bed at night envisioning the worst case scenario for an issue because you are always expecting the worst from life? This is comparable to a child who imagines monsters under the bed and so becomes afraid. It makes sense that you cannot sleep. You require your parent to comfort you as a child. As an adult, you are aware that you have the capacity to comfort yourself. Those who are unwell frequently engage in this behavior. Frequently, people imagine the worst or instantly plan their funerals. They may defer to the media and view themselves as mere statistics. You may feel abandoned and rejected in relationships if someone does not call you, and you quickly conclude that you are completely unlovable and will never have another connection. The same holds true for your job. Someone makes a comment at work, and you begin to fear that you may be terminated. You construct these paralyzing ideas in your head. Remember that these terrifying ideas are negative affirmations. If you find yourself continuously rehashing a negative thought or situation in your head, replace it with an image of something positive. It could be a breathtaking scene, a sunset, flowers, a sport, or anything else that you adore. This image will serve as your switch to image. Each time you discover that you are frightening yourself, you may tell yourself, "No, I won't think about that anymore. I will contemplate sunsets, roses, Paris, yachts, waterfalls, or wherever your image may be." If you continue to do this, you will eventually develop a new habit. Again, practice is required. 3. The alternative is to be kind and patient with oneself. I've heard the phrase, "Dear God, I pray for patience, and I want it now." If you follow the instructions in this video, you may obtain all your desires. Let's explore the teachings of Louise Hay, an American motivational speaker and the founder of Hay House. She has authored many New Thought self-help books, including 1984's You Can Heal Your Life. However, patience is a really effective technique. The majority of us suffer from an expectation of instant pleasure. We must have it immediately. We are incapable of waiting for anything. If we have to wait in line or are stopped in traffic, we become irritable. We require all the answers and all the goods immediately. Too frequently, our impatience makes other people's lives miserable. However, impatience is an obstacle of learning. Impatience is learning resistance. We desire the answers without learning the lesson or taking the essential steps for our development. The mind could be compared to a garden. To begin with, A garden is a patch of ground that may be overgrown with thorns of self-hatred, boulders of despair, rage, and anxiety, and an ancient tree named dread that requires pruning. Once some of these obstacles have been removed and the soil is in good condition, seeds or plants of happiness and wealth are planted. You water it and provide it with nourishment and care as the sun shines down upon it. At first, it appears that not much is happening. Nonetheless, you continue to maintain your garden. With patience, the garden will flourish and grow. Similarly, with your intellect, you choose which concepts will be nurtured, and with patience, they flourish and contribute to the creation of the garden of desired experiences. We all make mistakes. It is acceptable to make mistakes when learning. As previously said, many of you are afflicted with perfectionism. You will not afford yourself the opportunity to truly acquire new knowledge, because if you don't perform the task flawlessly within the first 3 minutes, you assume you are not competent. Anything you will learn requires time. Generally, when you first begin doing something, it does not feel natural. To illustrate what I mean, take a moment and clasp your hands. Together right now. There is no correct or incorrect approach. Note which thumb is on top when your hands are clasped. Now separate your hands and recuff them with the other thumb on top. It likely feels awkward, perhaps even improper. Reclassify them according to the first method, then the second, the first again, and the second method, and retain it. How do you currently feel? Not so or not so terrible. You are adjusting to it. Perhaps you can even learn both methods. When doing something differently for the first time, it may feel different, and we immediately criticize it. However, with some practice, it can become normal and natural. We will not develop complete self-love in a single day, but each day, we can love ourselves a little bit more. Daily, we show ourselves a little more affection. and in 2 or 3 months, our self-love will have progressed significantly. Therefore, errors are your stepping stones. They are beneficial since they are your instructors. Do not penalize yourself for committing an error. People tend to experience a great deal of self-doubt and anxiety in practically every part of their lives. We think negatively and dwell on our perceived shortcomings and problems, and the idea concept has become the norm of our thinking. How can a person love others if they cannot love themselves? According to Louise, we must quit lowering ourselves to the point where we cannot even love ourselves. We must have the concept of self-acceptance. Therefore, we should not regard our professions to be defects or weaknesses. We should view all of our so-called imperfections as a collection of characteristics that make us perfect as we are. Please let us know your opinions in the comment box below if you appreciate the video.